Now that we've talked a little bit about what this course is and what this course isn't, I want to go through the layout of the course and the course assignments, what we've got, why we've got it there. So just as a reminder, in the last lecture we talked about the two key skill goals for this class: designing clear presentations, delivering them in an engaging way. You can sort of think of these as the meta goals for the course. Now, more specifically, we've got objectives. So the first objective is you should be able to design and deliver basic presentations clearly. This will be the impromptu speech. Beyond that, it is design and deliver informative presentations clearly. Finally, design and deliver complex arguments persuasively. So here are our three basic assignments. These are some of the key objectives, and we're going to be unpacking how to achieve each one of these specific goals through our discussion of that assignment. More generally, I hope by the end of this course you should be able to speak confidently with appropriate rate, projection, movement, and vocal variety. And finally, and this is just as important as the other ones, evaluate and critique speeches insightfully. Okay? So that is what we're going to be aiming for in this particular course. Now, the course is designed around the speech assignments. I look at these assignments as buckets for skills, and being able to construct something that allows you to refine a particular skill set. So we're going to start off with the impromptu speech. In the impromptu speech, the assignment itself is you're just going to quickly put together a 2-point speech. Okay? We're going to spend lots of time talking about how you do this, practicing this, getting peer feedback, so on and so forth. The goal here is just mastering the basics of speech design. Can you put together main points quickly? Can you talk about evidence in a way that relates to the main points? Can you deliver it in a way that's easy for the audience to follow along with? So we start off with the impromptu speech. Then we move on to the informative speech. Now it's a longer speech. It's a 5 to 10 minute speech that educates the audience on a particular topic. And these can be at your choosing, whatever you know something about. Think TED Talks, just exciting us about an idea. They can range from telling us a little bit about the history of your hometown to explaining a scientific concept. The goal here is to clearly explain complex details. Okay? Being able to really get into detail, but also at the same time dial it back out so the audience never loses your meaning. And then finally, we're going to be talking about the persuasive speech. Now, the persuasive speech is another 5 to 10 minute speech that aims to shift audience opinion or raise awareness about a topic. Okay? So, an awareness-raising campaign type speech. These can be from increasing awareness around online issues to increasing awareness about childhood obesity. That's a particularly American topic. So the goals here are motivating the audience through clear argument. We're going to spend a lot of time thinking about how you construct an argument that gets people interested and explains to them the nature of the problem. So those are the three main speech assignments. Now, each assignment, as we get into the course, each assignment moves from general idea through arranging those ideas, putting good language on them, practicing them, and then finishing the idea with the hope that you'll post it online. Of course, you don't have to. So we move from basic idea to final presentation. Here's what that ends up looking like throughout the course itself. So here we are up in week 1. In week 1, it's just the overview. Here's where we are, where we're going, and why understanding the differences between speaking and writing are so important. That's what we're doing in week 1. Week 2, we start in it on the impromptu speech. And you'll see here, week 2, we prepare the impromptu speech. So we're going to be working on how to pull together the main points, how to talk through the evidence, how to do the speech. And then week 3, delivering the impromptu speech. That's a basic formula we're going to follow for the entire course. Then we move on to the informative speech. We've got a week just talking about basics, helping you figure out what you're going to be talking about, identifying the goals for that particular presentation. Then we move into preparing the informative speech, pulling together the main points, pulling together the evidence, understanding what points you should include, maybe which ones you should drop out. Then we spend a week talking about delivering the informative speech. What are the specific concerns and issues related to explaining new information to audiences? Then that speech is posted, and we move on to the final one, the persuasive speech. Same basic model. What are the key ideas in the persuasive speech? What are the basics? What are the topics that you're going to engage in? What are the goals for that persuasive speech? What can you hope to have the audience actually do? Then we'll move into preparing it, pulling together those arguments, pulling together that evidence, and then delivering it. What are the concerns when you're talking about an idea that maybe an audience member may not agree with at the outset? How can you perform your credibility in a way that invites agreement rather than disagreement? And then we've got a last week where we can sort of explore all these speeches, again, within the context of the class, and talk about what works for you, what works in different cultures, so on and so forth. But this is the format for the course, okay? We build up to each speech. And these are laid out in a specific order as well. We start off with the impromptu, not because it's a simple speech, but because it has fewer moving parts. Okay, so once we get through with the impromptu speech, we're going to move on to the informative speech. It builds on the skills from the impromptu speech, but it's got more moving parts, more concerns. Once we get done with the informative speech, we move on to the persuasive speech. Again, it has more moving parts than the informative, but it relies on the skills developed in the impromptu and the informative. In education, we'd call this sort of scaffolding. We establish a skill set, we build on it and make it more complex. We build on it and we make it more complex. So that's an overview of the course. That's sort of where we're running in this class. And now we can start talking about some of the other approaches that we're taking.